Welcome to another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors. I'm your host, Dr. Barbara Hales. Today, I would like to start with a question, not a clinical one, not a diagnostic one, a humane one. When was the last time you felt like the kind of doctor you trained to be? Not efficient, not productive, not compliant, but present. Because something is happening in medicine right now, and it's not loud, it's not headline news, but it's real. Doctors are quietly stepping away from the traditional insurance-based model, not because they don't care, but because they care too much to keep practicing this way. We were never trained for this version of medicine. We were trained to think, to diagnose, to connect. But somewhere along the way, medicine became a system of clicks, codes, and constraints. You're seeing more patients, spending less time, documenting more, getting paid less, and calling that normal. But here's the truth. This is not normal. This is a system under strain, and physicians are feeling it in very personal ways. I want to tell you about a physician I spoke with recently. She was a primary care doctor, brilliant, compassionate, the kind of doctor patients wait months to see. But she told me something I can't forget. She said, I had a patient cry in my office, and I kept looking at the clock, not because she didn't care, but because she had 3 more patients waiting. She said, I became the kind of doctor I never wanted to be, and I didn't even notice when it happened. That's not a time management issue. That's a system issue. Let's talk about something we don't talk about enough, the business of medicine. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The traditional model is built on volume, not outcomes, not relationships, volume. More visits, shorter visits, more documentation, more approvals. And when reimbursement drops, the only lever left is to see more patients, which means less time, which means less connection, which leads to burnout. It's not a personal failure, it's math. A cardiologist I know made a quiet decision. He stopped taking new insurance patients, not overnight, not dramatically, quietly. He told me, for the first time in 20 years, I had a 30-minute conversation with a patient and I didn't feel rushed. And then he said something even more powerful. I remembered why I went into medicine. That moment. That's what doctors are chasing now. Concierge care, direct primary care, telehealth-driven practices. These aren't trends, they're responses. Responses to a system that no longer supports the kind of care doctors want to give. And patients, they're changing too. They want access. They want time. They want a doctor who knows them. And increasingly, they're willing to pay for it. There was a patient, a middle-aged man, who joined a concierge practice after years in a traditional system. At his first visit, the doctor sat down, no laptop between them, just a conversation. At the end of the visit, the patient said, "I forgot what it feels like to be listened to." And then he added, "I didn't realize how much I missed this." That's not luxury care, that's human care. Now we have to address the elephant in the room: access, equity, affordability, because not every patient can pay out of pocket, and that matters. But here's the deeper question. If the current system is burning out doctors and degrading care, is maintaining it really the ethical choice? Or is it time to rethink how care is delivered entirely? Let's talk about the fear, because if you're listening to this and thinking, this sounds right, but what if I leave insurance and the patients don't come? That fear is real. It's not irrational. You're walking away from what feels like guaranteed income into something uncertain. And as physicians, we are not trained for uncertainty in business. We're trained for certainty in diagnosis. But here's the reframe. Insurance is not actually guaranteed income. It only feels that way because it's familiar. Reimbursements change, rules change, contracts change, and the control is not yours. What you're really choosing between is this: a system that feels stable, but is slowly eroding your time, your energy, and your autonomy, or a model that feels uncertain at first, but gives you control, alignment, and the ability to build something sustainable. Now let's be practical. You don't have to jump overnight. Many physicians transition gradually. They reduce insurance panels one at a time, start a hybrid model, build a small base of direct pay patients first. And something interesting happens. When you create time, when you deliver deeper care, patients feel it and they stay and they refer, because what you're offering is not just access, it's attention. The real risk isn't that you leave insurance and fail. The real risk is that you stay in a model that guarantees burnout. And I'll be honest with you, I've spoken to so many physicians who feel exactly this way, not because they lack courage, but because they've been taught that stability lives inside a system, when in reality, stability comes from control. Control over your time, control over your decisions, control over how you care for your patients. So, where does this leave us? Right in the middle of a shift, not a collapse, a transition. Doctors are not leaving medicine. They're leaving a model that no longer works. And in doing so, they're rebuilding something better, more human, more sustainable, more aligned, and maybe, just maybe, closer to the reason you chose this profession in the first place. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. If you're a physician listening to this and thinking, there has to be a better way, There is. And it starts with understanding your options because the future of medicine isn't something that happens to you, it's something that you build. This has been another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors. Till next time.